As a contemporary trend in educational psychology, we choose virtual distance education, or e-learning method. First, we stop and think, what is the virtual education or e-learning about? We found that it's the education based on information and communication technologies, and mainly supported by the internet. However, it does not have a conceptual definition. For this reason, the different academic programs have tried other terms. But as a global way to understand this is the articulation of technological training and pedagogical assistance.
According to Picciano, 2017, there are 3 learning theories used for the online education model. First, Community of Inquiry by Garrison, Anderson, and Archer 20,000. Their model supports the design of online and blended courses as active learning environments or communities dependent on instructors and students sharing ideas, information, and opinions. The Community of Inquiry has become one of the most popular models for online and blended courses that are designed to be highly interactive among students, faculty, using discussion boards, blogs, wikis, and video conferencing. The second model is Connectivism by George Siemens, 2004. And basically, this model is about a model that acknowledges major shifts in the way knowledge and information flows, grows, and changes because of based data communication networks. This theory states that due to the internet and the vast connection possibility we have nowadays, learning passes from being internal and individualistic activities to group, communities, and even crowd activity. The third model is Online Collaborative Learning by Linda Harrison, 2012. And this learning model focuses on the facilities of the internet to provide learning environments that foster collaboration and knowledge building. When it comes to learning through the group discourse, Harrison proposes 3 main stages. Idea generating, which involves the brainstorming phase, where different thoughts are gathered. The second phase is the idea organizing, which involves the phase where the ideas are compared, where they are analyzed and categorized through discussion and argument. And the third one is intellectual convergence. This phase is where intellectual synthesis and consensus occurs, including agreeing to disagree, usually through an assignment, essay, or other joint piece of work. Next, Picciano proposes a multimodal theory for online education that will be useful when it comes to implementing this in different institutions. It first talks about how it is important to take into account the content. This content is one of the primary drivers of instruction, and there are many ways in which content can be delivered and presented to students. While much of what is taught is delivered linguistically by teachers or students that are listening, or teachers that are writing, or students that are writing, this does not have to be the case, either in face-to-face or online environments. Now, content can be involved also with the social and emotional skills. Basically, the blending with pedagogical purpose model posits that the instruction is not simply about learning content or a skill, but also how they support students in a social and an emotional way. The second one is the dialectics of questioning. It is an important activity that allows faculty members to probe what students know and to help refine their knowledge. This one is based on the Socratic method, and it is because it remains being one of the major techniques used in instruction in many successful teachers are proud of their ability to stimulate discussion by asking the right questions to help students think critically about a topic or an issue. The next one is collaborative learning, which has evolved over decades. First, it was crucial to be face-to-face in order to apply this type of learning, but through time, And thanks to the technology advances, there are new ways to use the mobile, the email technology in general in order to go through with the collaborative learning. It is important because within a group they can learn different ways to solve a problem. Next, we have evaluation, which involves the assessments, assignments, and learning analysis that can be made in order to evaluate the knowledge students have acquired, what they understood, what they internalized, etc. The last element, which is crucial when it comes to B-learning, is the self-paced independent study. The self-paced and independent study is important because it is how the student motivates himself to keep searching for more knowledge. Throughout this element, the student will be more responsible when it comes to handling homework, when it comes to the learning process, to attending to classes, among other activities that are important in order to enrich their knowledge.
Colombian context. Distance education in the country appeared in 1941 with the national radio station, whose purpose was to work on the national culture and all its order, to collaborate with university, college, and schools. Then, in 1957, the Educational Television Project was launched to support the pedagogical work of teachers. That's why distance education is considered by the Ministry of Education in Colombia as a methodology characterized by using teaching learning strategies that allow overcoming the limitation of space and time among the actors in the educational process. Also, education in Colombia contemplates other virtual experiences, such as those presential pedagogical practice that develop or apply new technologies, getting as a result the internalization and appropriation of diverse social knowledge, and which are part of the essence of any educational process.
An example of an educational institution that applies the B-learning method is the Paulo Freire Institution. The Paulo Freire is an educational institution committed to complying with the constitutional principles by providing an inclusive educational service open to children, youth, and adults who wish or have special conditions for access to non-attendance, semi-attendance, and distance educational through virtual education assisted platform.
We also find some disadvantages. The limitation of internet access is one of them. This means the absence of connectivity as a consequence of the lack of infrastructure that prevents the expansion of the internet service providers. Also, the difficulties to access to devices, such as computers or iPads, that will be crucial when it comes to develop different types of activities through distance learning. In addition, it requires more investment of time by the teacher. Also, it requires students to have autonomy learning skills. So here is when the educational psychology have to work. Some of the problems that the professional have to solve are problems that have been presented before and for which successful experiments have been designed or have to be designed in order to give an adequate response. Also, virtual education is not only made up of computer technologies. That's why educational psychologists must serve as a mediator in the educational process, because that is what constitutes the true act of virtuality by giving the importance in the relationship established between the subject of knowledge, teachers, and technology.
The COVID-19 has affected the global community, especially in third world countries where not all of the educational institutions were prepared for what is occurring nowadays. B-learning is very handy educational strategy because it helps individuals to continue with their educative and formative process even when this type of situation may occur. For this reason, it is fundamental to keep improving teaching and learning strategies by this means so that the development process of people who have access to this type of education continue as well. Another important thing to work on is the accessibility of individuals that can't afford the virtual education due to factors such as economical status, taking into account the technology limitations that they have because they do not have access to laptops or cell phones, etc. But it is important to keep implementing this type of educational model because distance is not a barrier nor an impediment for the growth of people who access to it. So the learning process can continue in an efficient way.